Good morning, everybody. Wow, it's great to be here on Monday because Monday's a very special day because everybody knows that Mondays is the day that you can recreate yourself. You can start over. This is a new week. This is what you can reinvent yourself and all that. And people will say, what happened over the weekend? You know, like what have you been drinking? You just love for them to say things like that. No, I'm just happy today. And they go like, well, what's making you so happy? Because I decided to be, okay? Just shut up. I'm happy now. And that's what I want to be. Quit. But a lot of times you can surprise a lot of people that you're around a lot, that you maybe be a little grumpy. But all of a sudden, today you can be happy and make somebody else happy. Just somebody that you haven't done something for lately, or somebody that you feel like really would benefit from a phone call, a letter, actually handwritten letter, not text, but a handwritten letter that ends with yours truly. It would just be so amazing because that doesn't happen anymore. I think that art is being lost, how to write a letter. And when you go back and in like the Civil War times when the soldiers would write letters home, they were all like so poetic in a sense and so romantic. And the things that they talked about, it was like amazing. And we have lost a lot of that art. And then when you get down to text, imagine if you compared a text message to a letter written back then and see how, yikes, how do we know each other anymore even? Because in letters you really can't find out about someone. But what makes this day so special as well is we have Bob Berry, Lieutenant Bob Berry from the Conroe PD every Monday. He's here. And we special guest is Deanie Harmon, which we hope to make her like a regular on the sense when she can be here. And that would be just awesome because everybody gets really excited when you get to be here. Oh, and then we have Samuel Coombs. My grandson's going to be here. I've got to take him to the doctor, and he's going to join us. And when I told him that this is the day that Bob Berry, this is what he's going to do. He's going to lay out a crime scene that he came upon as an officer, and this is outside the statute of limitations, and he's going to walk through like he did when he first saw it and give us all of the clues as you would, but they would just all the things he saw. This is what I saw. This is what, and then allow us to ask questions to see, like just like the detectives when they come, they start drilling all the people that have been there and saying, don't step on that, you've messed up the crime, that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about that. But you can actually ask your questions on Facebook. And then during the breaks, I'll look at them and see, like what questions you've asked. So you go to my Facebook page and message that, and then we will talk about what you've said, what I think. And then, of course, Samuel said he wanted to be my Dr. Watson. And so he's going to be right here with me. It was funny. On the way here, he said, you know what, Grandma, I don't like growing up. I don't want to get older. And I said, Samuel, if you get older, you're going to be able to drive and all that. So, and then he says, no, not for that reason. What was the reason you said you don't want to get older?
I said because I'm going to start not liking stuff, like all the stuff I want to play with, like my Legos and all that type of stuff.
And then I said, wait a minute, remember your 40-year-old uncles that are still playing with Legos, still playing with, the games and stuff like that. Have you ever heard this, that, usually, the little boy in you will always be there, always. It'll never go away. And that's why you want to hurry up and grow up and have a great grandchild for me, because then you have a little boy that you can say, hey, let's go in here and get some games. Hey, let's get some of that Minecraft stuff. And the baby says, that guy good. That's okay. Well, I'll teach you how to. That's what I used to do. I used to drag my kids to, and I would buy comic books because I didn't want people to know I read comic books. So I'd say, oh, you want this one? Okay, we'll get this one. And yeah, that's great. And then I would take them to go see the cartoon movies, which I loved as well. And while I'm burping them and watching the movies. But I thought that gave me an entrance into where I could extend my childhood. And so it's fun. You'll be able to do that, Samuel. You will. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today. But I first have to tell you we're going to start that the second segment. So get your papers and pencils ready, because as he talks about the crime, then you need to write these things down, just like that you see on all the shows, And that's why Samuel is excited. He watches Forensic File. Now, some of that stuff on there is a little, maybe you shouldn't have seen that. But they like figuring it out as well. So, but first I have to talk about a crime scene that happened in Splendora High School. This is where 30 students broke into the school and put streamers and balloons all through all around the school. And that would be probably okay, except you broke in to do that. But at least that's a cool thing. People go like, oh, cool. But here's the other things they decided to do. They took urine and poured it on the doorknobs of the offices. In the principal, assistant principal, all that. They broke into the counselor's office. I don't know what they got out of that, but they broke into the counselor's office. They tried to break into the principal's office and couldn't get in. They poured vegetable oil on the stairs. Now, at some point, and why do they not believe that the cameras are on? Why do they? That's when the cameras are mostly on, when they were at night and during that time. So these 30 students who were clearly seen, and I'm sure in HD, on the camera, so they could go and pick out each one that was there, were called in, of course, and the school says, here's your punishment. You will not go on the field trip, the senior trip. You won't go on that, and you're not going to walk the stage. And so the parents of the groups of people, the parents got upset, thought that punishment was too harsh, because the parents that were complaining said, our kids didn't break into the offices. Our kids
My
didn't.
little Johnny would never do that.
They did.
How many times have we heard that?
And so all the kids that you see on that tape breaking into the offices, I just want to let everybody know that Bob Berry is holding up a pair of handcuffs, and this is what he would have done to him. So mine didn't break in. So the breaking in is the felony, or whatever the charge is going to be. So
it is a felony.
Right.
Yes.
And,
several felonies, by the way.
Yeah.
and in fact, the school was not going to bring this to the police. They were just going to do this punishment for them. But because the parents have complained and they want their kids separated out through the video that their kids didn't do the break-in, or they just put the balloons up and stuff like that. Well, the lesson learned isn't this true, you guys, that if you're with the group and they're going to do something bad, and you're with the group and you go, I didn't do anything bad, but I was with the group, you still get charged with stuff. I mean, if you're in a car and there's the open containers are there, if you're in the car, you get taken along. The police take you along as well. Is that correct? Or do they say, oh, well, you haven't been drinking, you're okay? Because they don't. The fact is that you were with the people that had the liquor, that had and you're underage. I'm sorry, you get in trouble for that. It's not good. Maybe you don't get as much trouble, but you understand that you're courted along with everybody else, and you got 30 students. The police come in. They don't have time to vet everybody at that time. Like, did somebody drag you here against your will? Were you, did they drug you?
Let me interrupt and just say this, is that first off, you get 30 kids together, you're going to have some leaders, and then you've got that peer pressure going on.
Right.
We'll always have that peer pressure.
Right.
And because of that peer pressure, it sometimes makes kids do things that they know is not right, but they're going to do it anyway.
Put your hand down, Samuel.
But they're going to do it.
You better not be doing that.
But they're going to do it anyway because they want to fit in, they want to be cool, and they don't think about the consequences at the time. Now, as parents, well, if their child is on video, I mean, how can you argue that?
Well, and the parents, what about the parents that's 60, let's say 60, adults that didn't know that they were going to the school? How can that be? 60 adults who don't know that your kids are going to the school. That's pretty weird. They could be saying, oh yeah, we did a lot worse than that. That'd be fun, and all that. But the deal is that vegetable oil probably bothered me more than the urine on the doorknobs, because that could have killed somebody going down the stairs and slipping and broken bones and all that kind of stuff. That, to me, I'd like to know that person who did that. And then, but the breaking and entering, and it just kept getting worse. And I don't know whether it escalated because now they're in there, let's do something really, really bad or whatever. But you get in with something like that, and it's just not, you can tell this isn't going to end well. So that, I don't know how they're finally going to deal with that. But right now, that's where it stands. If none of the kids can walk the stage, and the parents are more worried about that than the fact that, wait a minute, you went in and you broke into the. They weren't even talking about that part. It was like, that was a prank. It was a prank. No big deal. No big deal. But, okay, everybody, get your pencils and papers ready, because we're going to be back in a couple of minutes. And since Samuel is here, we're all going to see if we're smarter than a fifth grader, okay? And see if he figures it out before us. Okay, so anyway, this is going to be fun. We're going to be talking about who done it. So we'll be right back with Lieutenant Bob Berry and Deanie Harmon and Samuel Coombs.
The Cindy Cochran Show, the first daily talk show serving Montgomery County.
Listen in on Mondays at noon to hear the East Montgomery County news. News from our Precinct 4 Commissioner Jim Clark, Precinct 4 Constable Rowdy Hayden, our local nonprofits, school districts, and events that matter to you, residents of Porter, New Caney, and Splendora. With your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information, check us out online at facebook.com/EMC News.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show, and today is Monday, and it's going to be a whodunit. Whodunit. And we have Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe PD, and he's going to lay out a crime that he came upon and give us all what he saw, what he knew at that time, and then we're going to be the detectives coming in to investigate this and try and figure out who done it. Now, a lot of times, he'll hold back some stuff, so we have to always say, "Are you holding anything back?" Okay, and then he may not be able to exactly talk about it, so we may be more limited than even the detectives would be as they come in to get something. But this is a live crime, and it did happen in this area, and Deanie Harmon was with us, and she has the most insight. Whenever you see all these shows like the Egyptian airplane that went down, and they bring all these former so-and-so, former pilot, they bring people in that have some insight to what may happen. So we've got Deanie Harmon here. And then to really top it off, we have a fifth grader, Samuel Coombs, who's here. He's supposed to be going to the doctor later, and he's going to the doctor later for allergies. But he when he heard what Bob was going to do, he goes, "Oh, I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear that." So we're going to do this. And now, we just laid out the crime that happened at the Splendora High School, where 30 students came in and, literally did things that put them in the area of a felony, and something that could carry throughout their life if they're 17 years old, and so it's very dangerous and all that. And then Samuel, our fifth grader, just told me this about the parents. What'd you say, Samuel?
The parents should be in trouble because they're the one who is teaching the kids that they shouldn't do this stuff, and they probably haven't told them that yet.
That's exactly right. Okay, so that's what the principal needs to tell all the parents as they come in there. So you're the one that's supposed to be teaching them right. So Samuel, that's a good lesson, because if you do something bad like that, it reflects on who? Please don't hurt me. These are the grandparents or the parents. So it is important that the parents be held accountable for something, at least for something. Okay, Lieutenant Bob, it's time for Who Done It?
Done it.
Yes. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay. All right, so we're going to listen carefully as you go through this. Okay, get ready and go.
All right. We're in a middle to upper class type home inside the city. Very clean, very nice. And we get a call that somebody has called and said there's people and we're not getting an answer from them. And so we go into the house to find out what's going on. We call, we knock on the door, we look at all the doors and windows, everything is locked. And so the family members show up, and so we get permission to go ahead and break into the door to see what's going on. So we break into the door, and we're looking at it from the detective look at it as well. And so the first thing you see is everything is normal in the house. But when we get into the house, there's a male and female in one of the bedrooms of the home, and they're both dead.
They're both in one room.
Right.
And dead. On the bed, on the floor?
One is on the bed and one is on the floor.
Gotcha. Okay.
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 Nothing out of the ordinary. There's nothing broken and things like that.
Like there was a struggle?
Like it was a struggle or a fight or anything like that.
Right.
About 3 feet away from the male that was on the floor was a little snub-nosed .38 caliber pistol.
Okay. So now are you looking for a bullet wound in the female that's on the bed?
Well, both.
Does he have a bullet wound?
Yes.
He does.
There's also a bullet in the wall.
Does she have a bullet wound in her?
Yes.
Okay. So, Deanie, from that far, you've gotten in that far. What does your mind now have clicked to tell you?
A couple of things. First off, I'm thinking murder-suicide. Mm-hmm. But it could be also a family member, too. It's come in and killed him and made it look like a murder-suicide. So,
interesting.
So we have to determine who done it.
Yeah. Now Samuel said he thought the same thing. I shook my head, like murder-suicide. And Samuel said, that's what I thought, too. So he's watched a lot of Forensic File.
And I will tell you this, too. I'll give you one more little hint on it.
Okay.
The male and the female were prominent people in the city. Both had businesses of their own.
Ah.
And both had enemies.
Ah.
where were they shot? On their body.
One was shot in the torso.
Okay.
And then one was shot in the head.
Was the male shot in the head?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this just torso intro from the front or back?
From the front.
One time?
Yes.
Both?
Yes.
One shot. Was there a lot of blood?
Not really, no.
There wasn't a lot of blood?
No.
Now, in your experience, when there's not a lot of blood, are you surprised, or you say that happens sometimes? Sometimes because it depends on how, how the blood has gone, or if it wasn't something that splattered out or anything like that. Would that mean anything to you if there was not a whole lot of blood, with them both being shot?
It depends on the wound itself. And I'll also tell you something else that's going to be a little bit difficult is they were both partially naked. They were not all clothed. And the bed had been taken down as if they had been in bed.
The bed had been taken down. Oh,
Yes,
covers were back?
The covers were down
Okay.
and like they had been sleeping in the bed.
Okay. So this looks too neat, right? To you?
It was neat, but it also didn't get out of the possibility.
The realm possibility there.
Of somebody coming in, such as a family member or something.
Or an enemy.
Yeah, that could have got in, and they were possibly both victims. So how do we solve that? Now, we do not have DNA. This was in the early 90s. So there was not DNA or anything like that. And I will tell you that probably on the pistol, once we studied on the pistol, there were no fingerprints or anything that could be attached to either one of the people that were dead.
What was the caliber of the pistol?
38.
I'm thinking that the man was the target, the initial target, if he's shot in the head. Okay.
That there were, so at that point, doesn't that give you credence to believe that there was a third party because there was no fingerprints on the gun?
It could be.
Okay.
And there were also members of the family that were also infighting within the family.
Okay, but I'm just saying it was more maybe an execution than it was, a suicide murder.
I'm going to help the listeners out here.
It could be either one.
Was there a bullet? What am I saying?
The powder.
The powder on the hands
from the gun being shot.
Of either victim?
That would give away part of the story.
Okay.
Well,
I'm just trying to help the
That's the
listeners here.
detective. That is the detective. That's the question.
Now, Deanie has come across a very good clue. On that.
Right, that's right. And we've heard that so many times, haven't we, Samuel? That the powder burn from the gun is a big telltale sign whether that person shot or not. So you can't tell us that because that would immediately tell you. Mm-hmm. I think we're there.
Actually,
I think we're there.
You're pretty close.
I think we're there. And okay, who showed up first at the door?
One of the family members.
Okay. Do you suspect that person immediately? Is that person, you want to talk to them?
They had a key to the house.
They had a key to the house. Aha.
And they had actually, after investigating with them and talking to them, that one that didn't tell us up front was one of the ones that went into the house and found or took care of it right there in the house, and then came back, locked the door, and called the police.
Aha. Well, she was one that called the police?
Boy or
was
girl?
it a female?
Male.
Male. It was the male the one that called the police?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how close of a family member was?
Close.
Okay, so he could be in a will, or he could be...
Son.
Well, okay, so he could get the money.
How many sons?
Huh?
How many sons?
There was a son and a daughter.
Did the daughter show up grieving?
Eventually.
Was she grieving?
She wasn't there at the scene. Of course, when she found out that they were both dead, yes, they started crying.
Okay. And how much emotion did the son show?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, Samuel, what did you say?
Oh.
That doesn't look good. Okay, because we always look for that too. And the wiping, and there's no tears coming. That's always, when the news photographers come up and they go so what are you feeling right now? I can't believe it. And there's no tears that ever come out. So you always look for that.
Yeah, I went in there and I saw them that they were dead, and so I came back out, locked the door, and called the police.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. He could have been leading the Splendora teenagers into the thing with that kind of thought. And so she would have had to shoot him in the back of the neck. That's just weird. It's
Okay,
if you're going to try and make it look
I may
like
have
that.
answered you the wrong question a minute ago. Actually, he did. He, not her. Just reverse to what's the question that you asked.
The torso? You mean...
She had the torso. He had the shot in the head.
Okay, the shot in the head. But you in the back of the head, the front of the head, side of the head? You can say, you have to say that because we have to... That's execution style if it's in the back of the head usually, right?
Well, they were both in bed, so therefore he was shot in the front or the side of the head.
Well, where was it? That's what I'm asking. Detective Cochran is asking.
I'm holding out on you.
Man, are you? Listen, what would they say whenever you get the, not the tag, it's my collar, and that kind of thing. And when somebody else comes in, you don't want them to have all the clues because it's your collar. Okay, we're going to find out more and try and break Bob. I've seen enough 48 hours. I'm going to try and break you.
I'll give you the whole story.
Okay. When we come back, we'll get the whole story. Yay! Okay, we're on listening to the Cindy Cochran Show on the Whodunit Show, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Cindy Cochran Show. Real reality radio. Tune in on June 7th at 1 p.m. for Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour here on your Lone Star Community Radio. Veterans Air, news, talk, and commentary for veterans, their dependents, and our military members. This month, we'll highlight the Military Veterans Peer Network with Ashley Taylor, who will tell us everything we need to know. to be a veteran in Montgomery County. And introducing our new co-host, Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man. Veterans Air. Think of us as a land nav course without a compass.
The Cindy Cochran Show, the first daily talk show serving Montgomery County.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show, and it is the Who Done It. Who Done It? We're with Bob Berry, Lieutenant of Conroe PD, and special guest Deanie Harmon, who's 17-year undercover narcotics agent, and so she is retired. And then we have Samuel Coombs, who is a fifth grader. We're trying to see if we're smarter than a fifth grader, and so far, you're winning. Okay, all right. Anyway,
Yes, I am.
Okay, so listen, I want to tell you, I've been asking you if you want to ask questions and all that to go to the Facebook, and Dennis came through and asked this question: did either the son or the daughter of the couple that were found murdered, did they have any past violent? They were police, anything?
No.
They had no record of being violent. All right. Okay, so continue on. All right, so you find out that we've got a wife on the bed, the husband is on the ground, and 3 feet away from him was a .38 snub nose, right? 38 snub nose, and so this was the gun that was used, but there's no fingerprints on the gun.
Correct.
And the guy was shot in the head, and we were trying to figure out where on the head was he shot? What?
He was shot in the temple.
In the temple. Mm-hmm. So that makes it look like it's a suicide, right? Because that's usually where people go shoot, right? I mean, that's how we.
It depends. It depends if it's a person that comes in and wants to shoot him. It would be a true homicide.
Yeah. If they're holding the gun to us and saying, "You better do this," okay.
That's right.
And then explode. But Deanie asked the best question. She said, "Was there any burns on his hand?" And he said, "What was your answer?"
Yes.
There were burns on the victim's hand.
Powder.
There was powder burns.
Powder burns
on the victim's. Okay. Wow, that just threw a big wrench in it. Unless the son showed up at the house, went in, saw that they were dead, he said, and then came out, locked the door, called the police. Did he have any powder burns? No. No, you didn't check him? You didn't check? Wow, that turned it upside down.
It actually was not solved in the first 24 hours. And there were several things that actually solved it for us. Going back into the history of the family, middle upper class type family, both had businesses. They had arguments. They had not had physical violence. In with that, the family was upset. The husband and wife had been feuding, and both of them weren't doing very well with their businesses. And so they were in the bedroom. The bed was pulled over, kind of like it was when you just got out of bed.
Right.
Partially closed. In the end, what we found through the autopsy and also with the forensic part of it, we found that it was a homicide-suicide.
Okay, which we thought in the very beginning.
Yes. But we have all of these different things that are coming in and saying, oh, this is kind of leading us off to these other things.
Right.
And little rabbit trails, But eventually, after we got with the forensics, which was, at that point, it took several days to get done. But there were the clues that we could determine, probably 36 to 48 hours, we could determine whether or not it was.
Did you have a reason why you couldn't find the fingerprints on the gun?
Actually, there were none. We don't know why they were, and but what we did do, we found that the male, there's a chemical that we put on there. We swab on the web of your thumb and your finger, and we do that, and we send it off to the lab. It tells us that that's when you when you shoot a gun, you see the bullet going out and you see the fire coming out and all of that, but what you don't realize is the pressure and the powder that's coming back, all the parts of the gunpowder and all that, it sprays back onto you. And if you're right here like this shooting, it could actually go into your clothing as well.
That's right. That's right.
And so what we found was that he shot her in the torso. There was very, very little blood, somewhere close to the heart, to where it was,
So he killed him instantly.
very, very quickly. There was no blood at that point.
Did it look like he knew where to hit? He knew where to shoot, like he had thought this out, or?
No, I think it was just a fury at that point, and just happened to be in the place. Yeah. As long as the heart's not pumping, it's not going to have blood coming out. It's not gonna, put out a lot of blood.
Oh, okay.
Also, we found that when he committed suicide.
What a perfect song.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Anyway, it's just going to have to wait.
Yeah.
But of course.
It's good background music.
Yeah. And so we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right.
What we found was that when we got the forensic part of it coming back,
right,
it was positive on his hand, and also was the same as with on the gun itself, and so it matched. And then also, when you shoot yourself in the head, and you do it at a very close range,
right, because
you can't see where you're going with this, so anything less than probably 2 feet away from the body, it's going to splatter some of the same things that were on your hand will do this. And also with the heat and the pressure, it's going to cause a bruise and a burn at the entrance to where the bullet came in. So by doing that, we know that the gun was very, very close to the temple. Most of the time it's almost exactly on the head. Most of the time there's blood that splatters back onto the gun.
Well, yeah.
And when you pick up the gun and you look at it, there is splatter on the outside of the barrel of the gun.
And was there blood on his hand as well?
No, just on the gun.
Just on the gun.
And we took his blood and the splatters that were on the gun, did that with the forensic, and found that it was the same blood.
That is amazing. Now, did you question the son?
Yes.
As a person of interest?
We didn't interrogate him. We interviewed him, and he gave us a lot of history in the family. The entire family was in a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were trying to get a will or anything like that. This whole family was just very upset.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And usually anyone that's if it's not a suicide and it's going to be a hit or a family member, they're not going to get that close to someone. They're going to be at a distance shooting them. They're not. It's just.
Interesting.
So you're gonna be from a distance. So anyone that shoots themselves, they 9 times out of 10 put that gun right up to them, where they're going to shoot themselves in the chest, in the head, in the foot, or whatever. They're going to do it.
That's true, because you wouldn't go like this and then get half your eyeball and just mess yourself up. You want to do something that will really.
But if there's an intruder or someone there out to kill them, they're not going to get right up on them like that.
That's right.
They're not going to get in their space.
Yeah. Well, that's. I love what you guys come up with and what y'all think. At times, because we're doing it from just watching movies and that kind of thing.
The other parts of it that we found was that the bullet that went into the female was the same as the bullet that went into his head.
Right.
In the autopsies, they found that as well. Also, hers was very close. And she did have a shirt, like a T-shirt on. And with the powder that came out, and when it came out with the pressure, we also found that same type of things on there as well, chemicals that were on there as well, as with the gun. So,
can they tell how long it was between when he took his own life? Like, did he wait around for hours, or did it happen immediately? But he was off the bed, and so he must, he was.
She was sitting on the bed, and when he shot her, she fell back on the bed.
Okay.
And then he stood up on the side, and according to the blood splatter that was on the wall in the bedroom. Now, I know this is kind of adult stuff, but there were blood splatter on the wall, and it showed that because they were almost directly close to the wall, there was no angle or anything. It was a 90 degree, and so that means that he was standing up when he shot himself. And then when he fell, he hit onto the nightstand, dropped the gun. The gun fell a couple of feet away.
Now, what about the bullet that was in the wall? Was it a missed shot? From him or for her?
Yeah, from him.
From him. Interesting. So
she did not have
second thoughts about it, or
no, well, she didn't have
bravery up.
Yeah, she did not have any powder on her or any chemicals on her. They're like if she was fighting with the gun and the gun went off or anything like that. So she would have had the same thing as the male, but did not. So
you could tell she never saw it coming because she was still okay. See, all those things are just fascinating.
I would like to just mention something about suicide. Both Lieutenant Bob and I, have seen many on the department, and suicide is a very sad situation, and should never be taken lightly. And it not only affects of course, the deceased, but it affects everybody involved.
That's right.
And so suicide is if you know of someone that just gives you any slight of hint that they're going to kill themselves, you need to take action. Don't stand around going, oh, no, they're not going to do that. No, they're not going to do that, because 9 times out of 10 they are.
Well, is the wives' tale that says if somebody's going to commit suicide, they won't talk about it. They'll just do it. They don't give you any warning. Is that true?
Well, no, I think that, anyone that wants to commit suicide, a lot of times they're going to mention it to a friend, or they're going to mention it to someone. Now, if they're a person that's, going to commit suicide just to get attention, they're going to probably tell more than,
right.
tell everybody.
Right.
There's a lot of clues that come into that. When I start selling my guns or giving my guns away, and I start giving away my...
divesting yourself of things.
Yes, exactly. And to the people that I know or whatever, it's a clue. Why are you giving away all of this stuff? And that... also, depression, the way that you change in the way that you are at work or at home, either one. Those are all clues as to that person needs help. When it gets to that point, there's a lot of times where they want to do it, but they don't want to do it, and so it doesn't go all the way through. Definitely, that's the big one. It needs help.
Yeah.
Alcohol sometimes.
Yes.
Then they never drank very much before, and then they start drinking pretty heavily, or so.
And
there's signs.
Yeah, that certainly has seemed to give them the courage, or that they won't feel it, or something like that. They start drugs or drinking, and then that's got to be a common denominator about when things like that happen. But and we never take drugs. That's what poor Samuel has been, drilled into his head, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So when you have that lapse of memory about that, when you get to be a teenager, please talk to me, okay? All right. Listen, we're going to be right back, and I'm going to tell you a story about how Channel 13 was called out to my house to see what was wrong, because they hadn't heard from me and all. And when they went in the door, which was open, what they found.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, and we're looking for more talk shows and volunteer DJs for our music shows. With the addition of Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and the video aspects of our talk shows and music shows, we need more people to grow with us. If you're interested in having your own talk show on Lone Star, or always wanted to live out your dream of being a music DJ, contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com/contact us, or call the station at 936-647-5747 for more information.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show Mondays. Who done it? With Bob Berry and with Deanie Harmon. Now, Deanie, when do you think you might be able to be back here? And Samuel Coombs. I'll put you on the spot right now.
Well, we'll try it in a couple weeks.
Okay, all right, and see what happens. Okay, but I loved having your professional opinion, and you asked some really great questions. So that'll teach me. We're trying to learn what to ask and what, because he sits there and smiles with that kind of smile he's got right now, and I can tell he's got you're not getting this. You don't get this. What's wrong with you? Let me tell you what happened to me. This is about trying to find out. This was in the 70s, and. I worked for Channel 13. I did the news every morning on their Good Morning Houston show. And so Dialing for Dollars at that time, I think it was. I interpreted the news for the deaf. So one morning, Sam said, listen, I'm going to go to San Antonio. Why don't you go with me to San Antonio? I said, well, let me call and see if I can get this girl to go in and do the news for me. So I left a message with her sister to tell her that would she do the news for me, and then let Channel 13 know, because we're getting ready to leave right now. We didn't have cell phones or anything like that time. So I left with him. And I told my neighbor as I was leaving, I said, hey, we're going to San Antonio. We'll be back. I said, okay, have fun. So the girl did not relay the message to the sister to tell her to come in and interpret it for me, or to let Channel 13 know. That never got passed on to that person. So Channel 13's waiting, and I've never not shown up, and I'm always there. And so they're waiting and don't show up, and they call, no answer, no cell phones, nothing else to call. I had no one else to call except my house, and that was it. So they had my mother's phone number. She didn't know where we were. So they're really upset. They call the police and say she is not checked in. This is highly unusual. You can't get her. So we need you to come out and meet us there. So of course they're going to be there and get the exclusive. So there had been a lot of break-ins, rapes, murders that had happened in this area just the last few weeks. So the police have got this all in their head. So they walk into my house. The door was not locked, so they tell everybody, all right, hold back. So they go in with a dun 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 dun, and they look around, and they come out and say, "There's definitely been a struggle." Because I was not a very good housekeeper. And when they say always wear underwear because you might get in a wreck, I never thought about keep your house clean because you never know somebody's going to come in and check. And so they go like, oh no, so they go through the house and they're just going like, something happened here.
Tornado.
We can't tell what.
It must have been bad.
All those people, so the Channel 13 people come in, and I don't think they ever told me if they did video. I don't know if they did the video.
Your house.
But so that Monday, I show up at work, and they just start, where have you been? What's wrong with you? And I told them I'd gone. I said, this girl's supposed to come in for it. Nobody came in. We didn't. And they tell me the whole story. And I said, you went in my house. That's all I wanted to know. You went in my house? And they said, yes. We thought there had been a struggle. What happened in your house? And so I said, I don't know who could have gone through that house. That's just really scary. I could have been broke. And I told them what the truth was. And so they said, well, look at this. And they hand me my obituary that they were going to read over the air, saying Cindy Cochran, a former employee of Channel 13. I mean, and that was very bone chilling to read your obituary and what they would have said about you and all that. And so, but they would have said that they were so mad at me.
But instead, they handed you a certificate for maid service.
That was the worst. So, my cover was blown, I got to tell you, for sure. Putting it in your terms.
I'm sorry for you.
I know, it was terrible. So, anyway, so you can misread, you can misread a crime scene like that. So I think I told that story like we were talking way back with Mark when it was Mark and Cindy show, and we were talking about it, and he laughed. He even texted me. He said it looked like there'd been a struggle. He thought that was the funniest line. He kept saying that over and over. So I am that's why it's so exciting to me to have this show, and I'm so happy that we're here and we're going to do it. We're doing the Who Done It each week, and he's already got next week's and what's going to happen. And I really thank Samuel Coombs for being here, and we're going to go to the doctor and try and get this allergy. Everybody that lives in Houston understands this, what you look like and how you feel with allergies, but he's got it bad. So Deanie Harmon, thank you so much for your service in your former life and in your life right now, because you're helping with the elderly, you're helping with making sure that people are where they are getting the help they need and all that. So I really appreciate that. Plus, in your spare time, you help over at the Crichton Theater, and you play 5 instruments. So anyway, she has got a full life going on here, and I just thank you for your service. And and we'll look forward. 2 weeks, she'll be back, right? Okay, we got her on tape. Bob, thank you so much for coming up. And these are real stories, and he's telling them exactly how it was, And Bob's not the kind to be too flamboyant about us. He's going to tell us like it is. Thank you so much, you guys. We'll be back Tuesday through Friday, and tomorrow we have the CS Ministries, and we're going to talk about how the vets are being helped, and it's spectacular. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Love you, Mom.
Thanks for checking out this production of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star Community Radio, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, TV, media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production produced by the show host and Dick Schishler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schishler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.